Hello, welcome to another episode of Awaken the Goddess Spiritual Entrepreneur Series. Today I'm going to be talking to Indra, who is the creator of the Silent Moon elixirs. So, hi Indra.
Hi, how are you, Samina?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. So, Indra, first question. Tell everyone who's listening what you do.
Okay, so this could go on a while. So, as Samina said, my name is Indra, and I created a business called Silent Moon Imaginarium, which is where I create wonderful healing products by moonlight, and that includes the amazing flower essences and gem elixirs, and also many beautiful misters, and of course the big one at the moment is the yoni steaming, which is another subject in itself. But yeah, lots of beautiful healing products that are all created by moonlight. And yeah, just to the main reason behind Silent Moon was to bring sort of balancing to the shadow side that we all hold within us. So whether that be when I say shadow side, it's nothing witchy or bad or evil. It's something that we've all got within us, whether that's a jealousy side, anger, whatever that is. And what these elixirs do that I create is they bring them to the surface so that we can balance it with the light that's also within all of us, so that we can see more of a whole of who we are rather than just the good bits of who we are. Everything becomes one, if that makes sense. So we can really face our true selves and give ourselves permission to be what we want to be and who we really want to be. So that's really what I created Silent Moon for. So yeah. Does that answer?
It does, yeah.
To go too far over.
Yeah, no, that's good. Tell me how you got started.
Well, I got started by always loving nature and loving the energy of nature and working with the moon on my own, first of all, and then knowing that I wasn't sort of the conventional type. Obviously, I'm not the conventional type, those of you that know me. And most flower essences are made in the sun, which is wonderful. And there's a big thing out there which is all about, you can't make anything in moonlight because there are no elemental energies or any life force that runs at nighttime. Everything's asleep, and a lot of people who are involved in this kind of work say that, and that's just a load of rubbish. The nighttime does have energy. We all know the moon has energy. So I was always drawn to, working with that side of it. And I didn't want to do the conventional thing because I wasn't drawn to the conventional thing. So I wanted to test the theory that moon essences, moon elixirs do work. And I was prepared to put myself out there and just say, okay, maybe they don't, but I've got enough testimonials to prove that they do work and they do the job that I always thought they would do. So, yeah, 95% of my clients come from the US, so I ship out all over the world, but I get a lot of people asking me, do you ship to the US? And yes, because 95% of my people are there. So that's how I got into it, really, Samina. And it was, I've always taken batch flower essences. They're brilliant. And Alaskan essences and all those wonderful essences that are made in the sunlight. But to me, it was just, and I'm not saying that I won't ever create in the sunlight. If the calling is there, I will. But right now, it's the moon energy, and that's what's I'm being pulled to do, because the divine feminine is really strong. As you know, being an Awaken the Goddess lady, is that the divine feminine is so strong at the moment. We all need that support. We all need to work with our vibe to create our tribe. We all need to support each other. And that seems to come from a lot of the moon work that we do. But remember, it's also to balance the divine masculine as well. And this was a great concern of mine, that women would go too far on the feminine side, and they wouldn't see that there was two sides that needed balancing. Whether we're male or female, it doesn't matter. We all have those sides to us. So my elixirs aren't just for women, they're also for men, but obviously the majority of people who come to me are female. I'd probably say 80%, so I'm very happy for that 20% to grow, because I love it when men order. I love everybody ordering, but when men order, it's just like extra, they love to see their feminine side too.
Do you remember your first elixir, the first one that you ever made? Yeah.
Now, yes, but that was a sun elixir, and it was one called Ground Ivy, which is actually the elixir for finding your tribe. So what I did this year, which it was always up there on the website as the only elixir that was made in sunlight, but this year, was it this year? Yes, this spring. It was actually growing in my yard, so I made it in moonlight as well. So that's the only elixir online that's created in sun and moonlight. So it's good you said that, to be honest, because it is there hidden. And I've got a lady in London who buys off me very regularly, gorgeous Emma, and she has taken them both. I think she's taken and now she'll probably curse me for being wrong here. I know she's definitely taken one, but I'm sure she's taken the sun and the moon. I'll have to check with that, but I know that there's a big difference between the two energies of both of the bottles. So it'd be interesting to see really how people can feel the difference between the two if they work with the two. Because I know when I take batch flower essences, they're very different from mine. They just give a totally different effect. Which we all have to be open to, really, which is great. It's what vibrational elixirs do.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day. Actually, I was at where was on the other day? It was a couple of months ago, and I bought an essence, and the man who was selling them, I mean, it was a woman who created them, but she had a man helping her, and he said, "Oh no, you shouldn't take that one because you really have to be at a high frequency to take that." And it made me think, do you really need to be? Do you have to be at a certain vibration or very spiritually aware for these things to work, or can you just, is it like this elite club?
No. Flashy. Wow, because no. Okay, so how it works is that if you're in tune to it, it's like any modality. People will turn around and say that homeopathy doesn't work. It does work, but it works for the people who are attracted to it, and that's just like anything. If you're attracted to it, if you're willing to work with it and use it as your form of medicine, it does work because it's got that energy behind it. The more you give something to something, and there's a connection there, it will work for you. But if you're going to take your drops and you're going to go, this doesn't work and this is a load of rubbish, you're feeding it with negative energy anyway. But when she's telling you need to be in a certain frequency to take something, no, that's totally wrong. What I tend to do is I get people to look at the site. First and foremost, pick with their heart. So when they see the bottles, just pick one. Don't read the description. And then feel free afterwards to read the description. And usually the one that you pick first from your heart on your intuition is the one that's right for you. It's true that if you go through every description that you'll probably need every single bottle on there, because we always find, we've got that ailment, we've got that ailment. And it's like, oh God, I need all of them. But and I get like that with batch flower essences. When I take them, I look at them and I think, well, I've got something from each of those. But you can, certainly with Silent Moon, you can take up to 7 at a time. Okay. I always advise people, unless they're taking a few, like 2 at a time, I think is okay. But if they've got I know I've got quite a few ladies who buy a lot at a time. And I often find that if I'm doing a discount online on my newsletter, people will buy a load of them. But I will always advise, take 1 at a time. And the reason why is because then you can see which one's working for you. You journal, you're doing your intentions, you do a meditation while you're taking it, and you will see throughout the month, because each bottle lasts about a month, the change. Whereas if you were taking 4 or 5 at a time, you wouldn't know which one was doing what. So you couldn't really go back to that and pinpoint it and say, oh, it was that, I need that again, Not that it's the same every single time you take it. And that's the magical thing about the flowering, is that they change, they change with you. So when you take it, if you've changed, which you will, then the essence will work differently on you as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a real in-depth process. And I always say it's like peeling away the onion. A lovely friend of mine said the other day, don't use onion, use rose, it suits you better. And it's like onion when you're trying to get to your layers. And he said to me, well, it's like more like a rose. See it as a rose. And I thought, actually, that's really nice, getting to the center of the rose. But I always use the onion analogy, because it's like as we peel away those thin layers of us to get to the center, which is where we want to be, And but that's how I see it, and that's what flower essences do. They drop away all the layers of stuff that we're holding on to, you know. So, and my journey ever since I started taking them has just gone, it's gone. I don't sit here for nothing. Yeah, I wouldn't be sat here because I couldn't sell something or create something that didn't work.
Yeah.
And people are, yeah, right, and then they'll take them and they'll just laugh and say, "Now I know what you mean," you know, because you know, all of a sudden my heart's open. I've been crying all day, or you know, you can go into healing crises. Not every time you take them is it a positive experience. You know, sometimes you need to clear the shadow and need to clear the stuff that's in your way. But you haven't got to be afraid of that, you know, and that's part of certainly Silent Moon. That's what it does, you know. I always feel the strong people come to me, the people who are ready just to say, I give up, I've just had enough, please give me something. And it helps. So yeah, and the Americans tend to be open to most stuff anyway, so that's probably why they're my biggest customers, because they're not wary. They're just like, okay, we'll do it. I've watched them though. I've watched so many people over there just fly from taking, you know, from opening big yoga, you know, traveling, doing their yoga all over the world, to actually opening jewelry businesses that they've been holding back on for 10 years, and watching them just go. It's been great. Yeah, it's a great journey for me to see as well.
Yeah, you're lucky you get to witness things like that.
I'm very lucky. I'm so lucky, because it's just it's really special for me to see that, and especially with, I always class myself as the vessel that the flowers or the gems move through. I don't feel like I'm anything special other than that I have a deep connection with nature, and I talk to the flowers, and I love flowers, and I speak to them, and I do tend to my flowers from the best that I can. I make them from my flowers from seed to bottle. So the best that I can, the flower essence has been tended from me from the beginning. That's where it's really important. Or the flowers growing in my yard, and I know it, because I like to know that there's definitely nothing on the flowers when I don't just go to a park and create, you know, because you go to a park, then they're full of pesticides and artificial rubbish that they spray on, and I can't do that for myself, so why should I do it for anybody else, you know? So
true.
Yeah.
So tell me, did you have any challenges when you were starting up your business first? You know, tell me about like the beginning. Or do you have challenges now? You know, you might have some now.
Yes, happy to share my challenges. Being individual is a big thing. Being different is a big thing, and always found that it's one thing that I always learned from the flowers, is that you know, I needed to be my authentic truth before I could move any further with this, and I needed to stand in my true power, really. And I'm still working with that. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get there this lifetime, but I'm working on it all the time. You know, that I just to be the truth of who I really am is so important. And, you know, we all get challenges in that area of life. But yeah, I started with, in a big way, started with Periscope, and that was the start of Silent Moon becoming a success. Periscope's a live streaming, a bit like Facebook Live, but I owe a lot to Periscope, actually, because that's where I created my first lot of clientele. So live streaming, so, you know, you go on and the trolls that I used to get on there, they call them trolls, they come on, they swear at you, they say some really disgusting things, and I look at myself now and just see how much I've grown, because I used to come off there and cry and cry and cry and just think, why am I doing this at 2:30 every day just to be sabotaged? But I kept on going, and I kept on going, and I didn't stop. And every day at 2:30, maybe that's why my husband left me. Every day at 2:30, this is how much I give, you know? It's like, Silent Moon is going on to Periscope, and then, you know, I was doing it and be like, oh, again, you know, but I would give so much to that time. And half of the time, Samina, abuse, but I kept on going. And to anybody who's listening, you know, you've got to feel out what's right for you. And even if one person is listening and they're getting something from it, that is so important. And Now, when I get trolls that come up, whether it's on Periscope or I get emails, I rarely get emails of abuse, but I've had a few. I send you love, I send you kindness. That's what I always put out there. It's one of my lovely affirmations that I use quite often, because I find that it's really powerful. It's just, you've obviously got a very sad life, so you need to attack me because I'm doing something very different that's actually out there in the world, and people are gaining from this. And so that was a huge one for me. And what I'm coming through now is a lot of female jealousy. I've had a lot of female jealousy all the way through my life, and I used to find that very difficult to deal with, but now not so much. I find it a lot easier. I think people who are drawn to me come to me, and they're genuine. And if they don't like me, people people find me threatening, then they'll just turn away from me, and then that's okay. That's also fine. They'll go where they need to go. So yeah, they're quite big challenges to get through, and all based around social media. So yeah.
That's the thing. Social media, it's made the work that people like you do possible, but at the same time, it has its challenges in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, because when there's days, especially when you're doing live shows like I was, 2:30 every single day, and I'm talking 7 days a week.
Wow.
It was going on and on and on. And I've got to be grateful for it, because it was great for me. But when you're doing that, and there are days where you don't feel, you feel, the days where you feel down and you don't want to put yourself on social media going, hi, I'm going to talk about this. And pushing through that is quite difficult. It's like performing on stage almost. When you've got to go onto the theatre and you've got to do it. You've got to almost become something else, and to get you through. And I felt that happen. But now I pick and choose when I do my stuff. It's got to that point where I do need to go on Facebook Live very soon, and I haven't for about a week now. And I know that I need to do it, so I'll do it when the time's right. But I don't have to do it every day. And that's what's really good now. From doing it every day, I've sort of gained a following. Now I don't have to do it every day. So it's good. But I would always say to people, don't take it. Just find strength within yourself. Know that what you're doing is the truth. And if it feels truthful to do, if it feels truthful to you, what you're doing, then you don't have a problem if you're standing in your truth. It doesn't matter what other people think. Just do it. You believe in it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So
this moves us nicely into the next question then, which is how do you stay grounded, and how do you sort of nourish yourself spiritually?
Yes. Woods, nature, the woods, yoga. I've been doing yoga for nearly 30 years now. So yoga is a daily practice. So start at 5 a.m. I meditate, maybe 5:30 sometimes. I'm a big lover of Abraham. I do love Abraham. I'm a big lover of Esther Hicks. I think, and it might sound cheesy, but the law of attraction is an amazing thing. I mean, if you really get into Esther's work, it's fabulous. And I never believed it until I actually really started really looking at it. I use Esther's work on and off. Yoga's my main thing, so I do my meditation, I do my asana work, my ritual with my candles and everything in the morning when the house is quiet. So I swim as well. I'm a big swimmer, so swimming is a meditation for me. So I'll swim 2 or 3 times a week as well. I do 5 rhythms, which is a form of dance, if anybody knows about that. So that's really good for me. So those are, I'm very physical, so movement is a good thing to keep me grounded. And lots of talking out loud, like prayer, really, asking it is given, and really know what you want, and but the woods is great. That's the place. Nature is where I get my real grounding, and lots of breath work. And so
I love the pictures that you had taken recently of you in the woods. You would do, when you did the whole launch of the yoni steaming thing. And
yeah.
Yes, I loved those pictures. They were gorgeous.
Thank you, my love. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, fun. That was really good. Was that the pink, the ones in the pink?
Yeah.
Or were they
the pink?
Yeah, the pink dress. The pink dress. Yes. Everybody look. It's had a few comments, that dress. You know, I'm going to hang it up. Yeah, a few people have said some things about that dress. Yeah, Urban Outfitters.
So, tell me then, finally, my last question. What advice would you give to other women who wanted to earn a living doing something that they felt passionate about, that helped them walk their spiritual path?
Oh, well, I think grounding yourself is an amazing thing. First of all, you need to be grounded, and there's also you just get on with it. You just do it. Like I said earlier, if you have the belief, then you just start it, and you need to step through the door of fear, and that's a big thing. Stop procrastinating and just start it. And if it means that you've got to, unfortunately, to get anywhere really these days, I've certainly seen it myself through my own work, and you can tell me if it's different, but you do have to have a social media presence. It's really important. So I'm getting some, understanding about social media and how it works, and Facebook pages and whatever is really important. But first of all, getting yourself going, and then looking after yourself, and grounding is so important. Having your own personal practice is so important. I don't think I could manage if I didn't have my own personal practice. I would be way too out there. You've got to stay centered, and you've got to be able to take the knocks as well. So
I just realized actually that I forgot to ask you one question, which probably feeds into what you're talking about now. I wanted to ask you about your morning routine. So how do you set yourself up for the day? So you said 5 o'clock, right? You start at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
What's your routine in the morning?
So that's what I do. I meditate, and I do my yoga, or if I don't do my yoga, I go swimming. And that'll take me till about 6:30 or something. So about an hour and a half altogether, 2 hours. And yeah, then I do drink coffee. I like a good cup of coffee, one a day, and that's it. And I'm an intuitive, because that's how I work with the flowers. So I'm a big card puller. I have questions every day. I ask my cards. I'm very in tune with my cards. If you're on my Facebook page, you'll often see me putting out a card in the morning, and often that resonates. If it resonates with me, it often resonates with other people too. So it's really important for me that I just pull a few cards and that ask a question for the day, and that's a support to me. I enjoy that. I enjoy sitting there. And quiet is important to me in the morning. I don't like noise. I like to get up. I like to go outside. I like to breathe in the air before everybody starts to waken up. And I like that peace and quiet of the morning. So quiet time, no talking. And sometimes to people that is a bit ignorant, but I just don't like talking in the morning. It's just, I like quiet, and then once about 8 o'clock comes, I'm happy to speak, but I like the quiet time. So it's centering is really important. So grounding, centering, and I think that's from practicing yoga for so long. I've been able to sort of really, it's part of my life. So I've been able to almost weave that into my life as part of a good habit, really. Good habits are always good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, does that answer that? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's quite important then, really, to be grounded and really sort of in yourself to actually go forward and create something in the world, I guess is what you're saying. That's the message I'm getting.
Yeah, that's what I feel, because I couldn't have done it without doing that, because I could have started it a couple of years ago, but I didn't, because I don't think, well, it was a couple of years ago I started it. So maybe 2 years before that, I couldn't have done it because I wasn't in the place myself. I just knew intuitively that I wasn't there. So, and you've got to be ready for other people, because I'll say this because I like to be honest, is that there are people out there that are charlatans, and there are people out there that think they can make their money out of people, and they're not even sorted themselves. And I question that, and I think, well, I wouldn't say that I'm sorted, because do we ever get sorted? But the fact is, I'm there doing it from an authentic place and helping people, not because of, you know, I need to take their money, or I do it because I need to help people. I want to help people who may be in similar positions as me. And although I've got pieces of paper, most of my work comes from experience. Most of my work comes from doing it myself and having the hands-on experience, which, if you've got that, then what better way to help other people, you know, to really connect with other people. And that's the big thing for me. I want to be with people who have the experience, not pieces of paper.
Yeah, I love that you say that, pieces of paper. I have the pieces of paper.
Pieces of paper. It's like, you know, I suffered from a severe eating disorder as a child, you know, and I went into, and I did yoga for that reason. Otherwise, I would have been dead by now.
Oh, wow.
I was 4.5 stone when I was 18. And then I went into a relationship where I was with a heroin addict. So my sort of patterning was to go into these addictive personality relationships. And then I went and started to help people with addiction with my yoga, and that's what I still do now. Is that because I've got the experience of what it's like to be an addict, whether that's with food, whether that's with drugs, whether that's with alcohol. And when I teach people in the hospital, I teach them from a true place, and I don't have a problem telling them that I was sat exactly where they were, you know, many years ago, you know, and you know that they resonate with that and they get it, and it doesn't mean you're flawed because you're a heroin addict or you're a drug addict. You're just a very sensitive person who finds the world very hard to live in. Yeah. And that's just what it is. And then we need to support each other. And that's exactly what it is. You know, it's not because you've got something wrong with you. And it's the same with mental illness. You know, I work with people with mental illness. So it's the same thing. It's sensitive people.
Yeah, both things really are really misunderstood, aren't they? People with any sort of drug addiction.
Yes, so misunderstood.
Well, you know what? It sounds like you actually do amazing work out there in the world.
Because people who suffer from drug addiction, people who suffer from mental health, are people who have are just highly sensitive. Are highly sensitive people. They just feel so much.
Yeah.
And I can really relate. You know, the days where you can't go outside because you just don't want to feel other people. So that's where also protection comes in. You know, if you're into protecting yourself, as in, I'm not talking sexually here. I'm talking like protecting yourself as in your auric field. And that's what the flowers also do. They help to protect your aura from energies, or, you know, as I always say, bad juju that comes your way. You know, if you pick it up, you pick it up. You know, why am I feeling like this? Because you maybe just walked past somebody in town who's feeling that way too, you know, and you picked up something. It happens.
Yeah.
You know, it really does.
Oh.
So, yeah. Does that answer everything to me?
It does, yeah. Thank you so much, Indra, for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope I've covered everything.
Yeah, it's always such a pleasure talking to you. You're just so down to earth and just so real. Yeah, you are. Come on. You know you are.
Yeah. There's no other way to be in my eyes. Why do I want to be with anybody who doesn't want to be that way? You know, I always feel like that. It's like, yeah, let's just talk straight. Thank you.